Hello and welcome back to the channel and another ultra cycling related video. This time talking about ultimate ultra endurance comfort upgrades. Behind me is my ultra endurance rig, my Mason Definition. I have done a video on this once before, but generally my setup overall. So this is going to be more geared towards comfort. As ultra endurance cyclists, we do go through a lot of pain. But it doesn't have to be that way. How much pain and suffering you can endure isn't the measure of how good an ultra endurance cyclist you are. There are lots of ways to make it less painful. So I'm going to go through some of the things I've picked up and added to this bike, some things off the bike as well, which really help with discomfort. Hopefully this will enable you to ride much longer distances more comfortably. As I go through this, I don't have any sponsorships. There'll be one product I'll mention which was provided to me by a brand. I'll make it really clear when I get there which one that is. And also ignore the action camera being used as a microphone. I don't have any microphones to use and it's quite windy today, so I'm going to use this. Making do with what I've got. If you watched any videos before this, then as always, thanks a lot for coming back. But if you haven't, my name is Andy. I'm an ultra cyclist on the south coast of the UK. And I make videos about ultra training, kit and adventures. So subscribe for more videos like this. I think what I'll do, I'll start from the bike frame and then move on from there and then drill down to the individual pieces that make the difference. I've talked about the frame quite a bit in the past. The frame I ride is a Mason Definition. It's a few years old now, but it's such a comfortable bike. Again, not provided to me, I paid for it outright. It's perfect for riding long distances on the road comfortably, in my opinion. I ride a size 54, it's quite a short frame, but that makes all the difference in not being too stretched out and too uncomfortable on the bike. And from there, I think it makes sense to look at the contact points, because when you're sat on a bike for 18-20 hours at a time, particular points of your body are in contact with the bike a lot. So shoes are really important. I ride on Lake shoes. I have insoles for them as well. I found out after doing a really basic test, I've actually got really high arches. So riding long distance, there's risk of collapsing of the arches and knee issues because of it. So you can test that quite easily. But if you have good shoes with the right arch support, then that's that contact point covered. Lake shoes are known for being quite wide. And I think really the wider the better for anybody. If the shoes fit you when your feet are cold, as soon as you've been riding for quite a few hours, your feet are going to swell. So a wider fit is generally better for most people. But for me, these shoes are really comfortable. Next up, the next contact point is your backside, right? So I moved this summer to Albion bib shorts. I really like them because the chamois is really comfortable, really nicely padded chamois, but also they've got cargo pockets on the legs, so I can fit much more in them. But comfort wise, the chamois is really, really good. I like these a lot. After that, gloves. I don't really understand how people ride ultra distance with no gloves. I see some people doing that, don't really get it. My hands really need gloves. I use Castelli Arenberg gloves. They're designed for the cobbles of the Arenberg forest in Paris-Roubaix, so I use those. So that's the contact points covered in terms of feet, backside and hands. Beyond that, hands can get really sore, so aero bars are really important for comfort. I've done a whole video on riding on aero bars and why it's important. You can take your hands out of the equation every now and then and rest your forearms on a good set of aero bars. That's a no-brainer. I've got Dida Parabolica because I can rise them up, I've got good padding and I'm not too far forward on them. They're really comfortable. Next up, the bar tape I use is really comfortable as well. Not everybody likes Supercaz, but I really like Supercaz. It is more expensive, but it's much more grippy and I find it nice and spongy. You don't have to pay for Supercaz, I really like it. But the difference I find, when I re-wrap my bars, there's 2 points in the bars that I double wrap. I put a layer of the old bar tape on the drops and on the tops. So then when I'm sat in those positions for long periods of time, I've got a bit more cushion. I know exactly where my hands tend to sit. Bottom of the drops and up on the tops. Double wrapping your bars makes a huge difference. I don't do the whole bars, but I think just the points I know my hands are going to sit, that really helps. Next I'll mention seat post, because carbon seat posts are pretty good nowadays for for having a bit of movement, a bit of compliance, so tend to be a little bit more comfortable over the rough stuff. But a suspension seat post makes far more sense. The one I've got on there right now is a Canyon VCLS leaf spring style seat post, and it makes a huge difference. When I bought it used from Facebook Marketplace. When I fitted it, it felt like I had a slow puncture on the rear. Quite strange to begin with, but that extra bit of squish on the rear makes a massive difference. I used to get bruising, and it's quite normal I think to get bruising on your seat bones, but actually once I fitted this seat post, most of that was gone. Still get a bit of discomfort obviously, you can't rule it out completely, but that makes a huge difference. That one, as I say, is a Canyon VCLS, but I learned afterwards they just rebranded it. It's made by a company called Ergon. So Ergon suspension seat post gets a thumbs up from me. On the seat post, the saddle I use, and saddles are individual, everybody has a preference for saddles, and I'm sure you're like me, you've gone through many to try to figure out which one works for you. In this case, I actually bought this saddle off the back of all of the posts I scoured through in the Transcontinental Race Facebook group. Most people were saying they use this, so I thought I'd give it a go. It's a Brooks C17, and it's made of a material called cambium. So Brooks saddles are known for being really comfortable once you break them in. Once you break the leather in, really good. The cambium material has no break-in period, so as soon as you sit on it out of the box, it has the same level of comfort, and straight away it was ideal for me. So those seat posts are available in a multitude of different sizes and everything, so get the one that fits you if you're interested in Brooks, but that worked for me out of the box, and it's really comfortable. I can sit on that all day long. It has a cutout for your soft bits underneath, and I think that's really important. If you don't get a Brooks saddle, I think it's important at least to get one with a cutout to allow blood flow so you don't get numb toes and numb other stuff. So next up, working my way downwards, the tyres that I've got on this are 30mm. I like Continental GP 5000s. You don't have to use the same brand, but I think tyre size makes a huge difference to squish and comfort. Arguably, there's more of a sacrifice in rolling resistance, but honestly, I don't really see any difference, but I do feel the difference. Just 2mm difference in tyres makes a huge difference to comfort. And they're on DT Swiss ER 1600s. So those are endurance specific wheels, quite fast, but not so stiff that they're uncomfortable. So getting towards the end now, the last thing I'm going to touch on to is a sponsored product, but only because I was sent some parts for free. I don't have any incentive to sell this to you necessarily. I don't have a discount code. I'm not going to make any commission, but I approached Redshift for their suspension stem and the seat post. They were more than happy to send me products to try. The suspension stem is a game changer. That I knew I wanted that to begin with. That's the reason I went to them. But they also have a suspension seat post, which we'll come to. But the stem is amazing. It pivots and has some polymers inside, and you can adjust the polymers for different firmness, and you get a different feeling. I've got it on what it came with in the box, and honestly the differences are just amazing. Hitting a pothole or a speed bump, whatever, it soaks up all of that buzz and all of those impacts. The difference to your hands is night and day. At the start of the Transcontinental race, when we had those cobbled sectors and the off-road sections, by the end of that, I still had numb hands. So I dread to think what my hands would have felt like if I didn't have that system. They've just expanded that range as well. My stem is 100mm in length, but they go right down to I think something like 40mm. They've got quite a wide range of lengths and offset angles. I'm glad they provided that. I would have bought it eventually, but it's one of those things that you've just got to keep paying to try things out. But take my word for it, it's worth every penny I didn't pay for it. They did provide me with their seat post as well, and for this bike on the road, I think it's too much travel, to be honest. Even on its firmest setting, it feels a little bit too wayward when I'm pedaling along the road. On gravel or on a mountain bike, it makes complete sense. If you can use that seat post, you'll eliminate the need, I think, a lot of the time for rear suspension. So freeing up all of the space in your frame for bags and stuff like that. I'm keeping it for when I get a gravel bike or whatever I end up getting for next year. Redshift, great products, great quality, have my seal of approval, for sure. I think that's pretty much going to round it out. Everything I've tested and learned over the years to try to make this thing as comfortable as possible. The way I see it, I'm basically getting dragged across the concrete for hours and hours and hours with nothing but that between me and the potholes and the tarmac. And I've got that to a pretty good place now where it's pretty comfortable. So hopefully some of those things you could try out and see if it makes ultra cycling and ultra distance a bit more comfortable for you. It's like I say, this can be uncomfortable. You can get sore, you can get bruised. This is endurance and we endure, but it doesn't have to be really painful. So do yourself a favour, try to make that thing a little bit more comfortable. Anyway, I think I'm going to leave it there. It's looking like it's going to rain soon, so I'm going to get back home and go cook some dinner. So hopefully you're well, have a good week, look after yourselves, and I'll see you all in the next one. If you watched to this point, I leave this sort of thing to the very end because the people who are really invested in the channel tend to watch all the way through. The next few videos are going to be a bit more like this, a bit more theory based, because I'm going away for a well-earned break. There's a few things I've got to list on my phone, a few things that I want to talk about that I'd normally talk about while I'm out on the roads, but I'm going to film a few in advance and put them out on the channel while I'm away. I always said I want to run this for a year to see how it goes, a video a week, and I'm a bit weird like that. If I say I'm going to do a video a week, then I have to do it, so bear with me. But once I'm back from holiday, rested, we'll get back out on the road on some more adventures. So look after yourselves, and I'll see you all later.